been thinking about the first house, and I kind of wanted to go through the houses and go through the meaning of the houses and why I believe that the meanings are connected through like a philosophical lens. So when we look at the first house in astrology, the first house represents how we are seen in the world, like physically seen, but also like the energy that we exude and our personality, and our first impressions that we give people when they first meet us. So the first house is kind of like the house that we like kind of shine through. It's associated with Aries, so it's associated with us learning about ourselves, like the I am. So initiating, like basically like a baby taking their first steps and learning like their basic needs and like what they need and going after what they need. So it's about us and how we're seen and our personalities. And our personalities also go into like our soul essence, because it's a part of our soul essence, but our personalities are really only temporary for this life that we're living now. But of course, it's a accumulation from the lives that we've also led. So the first house representing not only your personality, but also your physical looks. I believe the connection there is because our physical looks is also associated with our personality. So, face reading is a really like ancient like art, and the characteristics that go into our face are can be associated with personality traits. And when I think of the connection from there, so basically it's like our subconscious is picking up on people's personality traits through seeing them physically, but also even just like how we express ourselves, how we dress. You know, if someone dresses very, to be seen in bright colors and in very like vibrant way, that's a part of their personality being reflected. So not only is our personality formed from this life, but also through our genetics. The way that we look is formed through genetics, but which relates to our family and then our family origins and ancestry. But then we have the personality traits that we carry from other lives into this life that go into how we look and how we exude our personality, so that when people see us, they can understand at least a first impression of who we are and to really take in the essence of who we are. So the connection between the first house and the personality and the forming of the I am, the idea of the I am, and initiating for the self, also with the idea of actual physical looks. And that's why I really do see so much about physical looks in the birth chart. And it's so surprising to me, because I wouldn't have thought before I started studying astrology that our physical looks would be something that was so ingrained in an astrological chart for us. But a lot of times our physical looks is a part of our journey, not only for our internal like self-worth and things like that, because it has to do with how we interact with the world, but it also has to do with how we basically like keep evolving and forming ourselves and keep evolving our personality, so that when we go into the next life or wherever we're going to go, we are different and we're not just repeating, being the same person over and over again. So we really are like building. It's the first building block, and that's like the connection. And I didn't really think about that because I'm kind of someone who doesn't really like to focus on my physical looks. I've always had some, self-conscious issues with that. So, but that makes sense going into the second house, which goes into self-worth and like your personal values. And then that also has a connection with abundance and physical manifestation of what we can build. So we'll go into the second house next.